All right, here I am at the Kohn-Joseloff Gallery on the grounds of Cheshire Academy, and this is my first one-man exhibition. The opening was tonight. It's over now, as you can tell by some of the food ravaged table. And it will be up until May 12th, which is very nice. I mean, it's really gratifying to have a one-person show. I never really expected that I would have one. I mean, in the sense that this is, it was kind of an accidental thing. You know, when they asked me to be part of their artist series last year, I said sure, but just put me in at the end because I was really busy at the time, and I didn't want to have to rush to do stuff. But as I started, setting up and curating my own work, I realized, and actually the gallery folks realized, that there were some spaces that were still available. So the head of the arts department, Fran Poisson, who was my supervisor when I was a substitute teacher here, it was 2005, suggested that I bring in other work. So this is really kind of unusual for me because I'm not really used to that. I'm usually in group shows where you typically have to curate or select one or two things that show your best work, and because that's the only spot that you get. So this was a real treat for me to be able to do this. These are two hand-bound books that I've made. The text and the illustrations are swiped from the internet, but this was really a layout exercise and a bookbinding exercise because these are hand-bound. I sewed the signatures, and I covered it myself. This is green vinyl, and this is my first attempt, which is green duct tape. Now, the reason that the themes are both green is that this was actually an academic assignment. I was given a color and asked to produce a book with using that color as a theme, and my color was green. And I like ABC books, or as they're formerly known, Abecedarian books. So that's what I did. So the challenge for me was finding something green represented by every letter of the alphabet, which was not easy in some cases, but some of the letters were a bit of a stretch, but you kind of do what you got to do. This is a block print. I really like making prints. That was something I started doing when I was at UNH because I had the facilities were there to do printmaking. So these are carved on. The previous one was carved on etched on acrylic. These two are linoleum block. So and they're essentially the same pattern except they're reversed. So I kind of liked, and I designed it so that you could flip it upside down or turn it right side up, and either way, the flow and the movement going through the work would still be pleasing and work for me. A student asked me about this one. I think people do get sort of like taken by the kind of violence in it. And I explained it's really just about conflict, and it's not necessarily about violent conflict, but it's just the conflicts, the mental conflicts that everybody has when they're just trying to make a decision, and trying to fight through doing the right thing, doing the appropriate thing. Sometimes you can't do both. The text is Latin. It's from Cicero. And to paraphrase it, the title is Odiat Amo, and those are the first words of the quote. Odiat Amo just means hate and love. And to paraphrase the quote, he's saying, I love and I hate, and I don't like this process because it tortures me, or something like that. It tortures me and it confuses me, but I have to do it. And that's kind of something that I feel like pretty often. But that's just part of my personality. This is an assemblage. It's made of scrap wood, painted red, nails, obviously, and some cords. And there's a mirror stuck in there. Really, the gist behind this work is, when the viewer looks in, they see themselves. So, there is that quasi-religious aspect to it. I'm not going to deny that, but I wanted to make sure that I was able to interpret it in a way that was interesting to me. So, coming over here, this series is called, it's a Bosch series, which I renamed them. I have more of these panels, but I decided to select these and try to compose them in a way that was interesting, or at least make them look like they were playing off of each other. So I was doing these kind of based on the Bosch paintings, where there's a lot of kind of strange things going on and kind of absurd things going on. But I also got my inspiration from constellations. So I loved constellations when I was a kid, and just the idea that there were these pictures in the sky and you could use your imagination to see what they look like. This is one of my early works. I was a traditional sculptor, working in alabaster. I love alabaster. I liked carving, but it's physically demanding, and I think I hurt my shoulder doing it, which was part of the reason I stopped. And marble's also expensive. Alabaster is $2 a pound. By the time I stopped using it, and it's not cost effective. But I'll get back to it. This is part of a this is part of another installation. I kind of explained in my talk that there are things in the gallery that are parts of installations, but don't think of them as installations as they are hanging on the wall. They're really installation components, and that's how they're described on their labels. I sort of made the analogy of say like showing a detail from a painting. You have to label it as a detail, not the entire painting, because the important thing about installation art is that it incorporates the space around it. It incorporates, and actually the space around it. It's difficult to put other stuff around it, because there's always the risk that the other objects around the installation are going to be mistaken as part of the installation, and that's not my intent. That's not the intent of like any installation artist. Even if something else is in the line of sight, that kind of is annoying for us. But you got to make do with what you can do. Funny story about this: when I got here tonight, this line wonder if I can grab it here. Oh, this line here, where it's basically making this fold going up. It actually was attached to that area there just above the information station. But because it traveled very low towards the ground, the facilities people said, nope, we can't have that. You know, we have students here who are 6'4", and they don't always pay attention, and they will run into it, you know, believe you me. So I had to change it. And at first I was kind of ripping. I was like, how dare you compromise my artistic integrity, you slobs, plebeians, heathens. But, you know, I learned to be diplomatic. That's what having worked in development does to a person. You learn how to comport yourself in various situations. So I said, no problem, fine. You know, can we just leave it up for the opening, and I will change it before the end of the evening. And they were fine with that. And in fact, when after the opening was over, the head of the arts department, Fran Poisson, helped me reposition that fold so that the supporting line was not in the way of traffic. That's just one consideration of the perils and pitfalls of installation art. And here is what's left of the food. Looks good. I don't have a melon. So there you have it. The name of the exhibition is Effective Immediately. That's also the name of the work right here. And it will be up at the Kohn-Joseloff Gallery on the grounds of Cheshire Academy in Cheshire, Connecticut, until May 12th.